Welcome to the Impactful Engineer Project. I'm Steve Maxey, and with my co-host and brother Jake, we are here to bring you guidance, fresh ideas, and the tools to help you become an impactful engineer. This is the Impactful Engineer Project. I'm Steve Maxey. Here, we have authentic conversations around engineering and personal development to allow for freedom of thought and expression. This creates an environment for growth, filling in what we believe to be the skills gaps present for engineering professionals. Ultimately, we want people to have fulfilled careers and be inspired to become the best versions of themselves. Today, I want to talk about managing your perception. So, what does that mean? Essentially, you can operate effectively the same way, but your persona or the visual character of yourself can vary, and that will be judged by others differently. So, a quick example. You could be on your computer at your desk working on a engineering project of some sort. But if you're laid back and, just kind of, super relaxed, shoulders slumped, and, you're just kind of one hand in your lap, one hand on your mouse, and just kind of clicking through stuff, and someone walks by, they're like, wow, that guy looks like he's just really chill and, kind of lazy. But if you're, nice and upright, really intent and leaning into your screen and clicking away, you're literally doing the exact same thing, but your posture is more alert looking, and you just look like you have a lot more energy. People walk by and be like, man, that guy's into it. He's really, kicking ass today. The work is identical, but just the perception by someone walking by, peeking in, like to your cube or office or whatever it is, could make a difference for other conversations that are had when you're not around. When people are like, "Hey, what do you think about Jake over there?" And the other guy goes, "Well, he does pretty good work, but man, he just seems like he's not really putting his effort into it."
Or what they're really saying is, "Hey, that guy's an asshole."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that are in your control, but that's out of your control. So it's in your control to present yourself as someone who's intently working, not to the point where people think you're an asshole. But
no, that was just a dig on me.
Oh, I know. I know. But what I'm saying is that it could influence a lot in your career. If there's two people doing the same exact work, one looks very intent in their work and one looks like they're just chilling all the time. When merit increases come around or promotions come around or whatever, there's going to be perception's going to play into it. You're going to have a bias no matter what, even if the work itself, the data is the same. You're still going to have a biased shift.
What you're saying is absolutely true, man. It kind of, when you think about it really hard, it kind of sucks that it exists, but we are all inherently biased.
Yeah,
we just are. So don't let it work against you. Is kind of where we're going with this. So
yes, yeah. And so, what are some things that you can do to combat this?
Can I step back for just a second?
Sure.
And just say something about culture real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
So if the culture at work is that you're laid back and like one hand in your lap and one hand on the mouse and you're kind of just clicking, like do that, that's cool. But, you have to consider the workplace environment that you're in,
mm-hmm.
right? So it's very important. And so that's this one example that we're giving, if it doesn't hit home to you, like that's fine. Think of another example. Put yourself in that place. What is everybody else around you doing? How are they acting? What's the perception? What's the temperature of the room? How are things going on around you? You got to be aware of that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
it fits with the culture vibe too.
Yeah. Another thing is, your attire. If you're in a company that everyone's in shorts and a t-shirt, then great. But if you're in a company that they allow shorts and t-shirts, and I'm just kind of using extremes here, but you have, everyone who is a high performer is wearing a suit, and I'm going to the other extreme. Most places are not like this anymore. Um, and you're in a short and t-shirts, even though you're high performing, there's still going to be a perception there.
That's
It's
right.
like, hey, this guy is the data looks good, but you know the data is identical to this guy over here, and he's dressed sharply. And he's super alert, and uh, so we're gonna give this promotion to him versus this guy who's just always showing up in cargo shorts and a tank top. So
And the unfortunate reality is it literally can come down to that sometimes. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, that's
But
true.
before we dive into the tactical stuff that you're going to get into, I just want to say that this is something, managing my perception at work is something that is my greatest weakness, uh, that I am actively working to, um, improve upon. It's one of the things on my goals that, uh, I'm going to keep my utmost attention to, because it doesn't matter what I feel inside, because here's what I feel like. I want everyone to win. I will sacrifice myself for the betterment of the team. I will spend an inordinate amount of time growing younger engineers, so much to the fact where I'm starting to get some eyeballs looking at me, making sure that I'm getting my work done, and stuff like that, making
Hmm.
sure that I'm taking care of clients, right? People are going to get worried about that. Um, but from within myself, it's all about what I think is the best way to put the rest of the company in a position of success. The way I deliver that sometimes at work is through a high amount of energy, and maybe a put off or standoffish way of communicating, which I'm working on. But regardless of how I feel inside, it's going to create a perception from other people about who I am, what my character is, what my true intentions are. You need to marry and align what people see of you with how you feel inside, and being able to do that, uh, is gonna boost your progression in your career tenfold. Um,
Absolutely.
and there's a lot about knowing the other person, what their personality types are, and how you present yourself to them, so that you're hitting those markers for a good perception. And I'm sure Steve will talk about some of that.
Yeah, I mean that leads right into um, how you can do that, right? And the first thing I was going to touch on is um, you need to gain that clarity that you spoke of, and in alignment with the people above you. I mean, even your peers, but your managers and even their managers, right? So um, meeting one on one with everyone who has influence in your organization. That makes sense. Obviously, you're not going to be a janitor coming in and meeting with the president of the company about your perception. But
Sure.
um, as a individual contributor engineer coming in, first you're going to start having one-on-ones with your immediate manager. Your immediate manager will have a good temperature and pulse on your perception for the most part, and you'll have those candid conversations back and forth, and they will say, hey, we someone noticed that you were doing this, or I noticed that you're struggling with this, or whatever, and you can work on those immediately. But they are working on their perception with their leaders, and so there's only so much that they will know, because sometimes uh, your work will actually affect their perception above. You know what I mean? Like your work and your abilities to function effectively could impact the perception like the owner of a company will have on your manager.
The
So,
leader's ability
yeah,
to bring a team up. Yeah, sure.
exactly. So, there's still some extra perception that you need to manage beyond your direct manager. And so, how do you do that? Well, it's actually a term called a skip level meeting or conversation. So you would have, let's say your hierarchy is an engineer, and then you have a manager and you have a director. So then you normally meet with your manager one on one, say once a week, once every other week, whatever. You would schedule a one on one with your director once a month, right? You don't need as much frequency because the higher up you are, the less you need to focus on the weeds on projects, but you need to focus on people. And so that cadence is not as often. So you would meet with them maybe once a month, just for example. And then you can just only focus on, hey, you know, what am I doing great? What am I, or what do you think I'm struggling with? How can I improve where you think I'm struggling? Or is there anything that I can do to help boost the perception of my performance? And when you're direct and asking those questions, a director or even higher up management, like depending on where you are in an organization, will appreciate that absolutely, and they will give you direct feedback. Now you can't be defensive, right? We've both had
Nope.
experiences like this. You need to say, okay, excellent. Thank you for providing that critical feedback. I will work on that, and then next time we meet, let's touch on it again and see how I've improved. And they
Because it
will love that.
absolutely does not matter how you interpret their feedback. It has
Exactly.
no bearing whatsoever.
Yeah.
If the ultimate goal is to improve the perception, it does not matter what you think of their perception of you, like in the slightest. Well, I
Yes.
don't see it that way. Well,
It
they
doesn't matter.
do.
Yeah,
And
and
they're
that's
the
what you're
ones
trying.
that you need to impress upon the new perception. Okay? So
Yes.
just drop the defensiveness right away. That's going to
Yeah.
be a killer. That will kill your career.
Yes.
All
And
right.
and it'll
Want
kill
to
the
get that
conversation.
across?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
kill the conversation, and they won't want to have that skip level with you ever again. So never defend your perception. You're in there to find out what the perception is and how to fix it or improve it depending on where your perception is.
Yep.
And that's it. And that next meeting, you better be having a conversation of how it's improved. um and so and be intentful on taking action on improving that perception. So that's
Yep.
I mean, that's the foundation of how do you manage and improve it. Practicing radical candor, having the harder conversations, and just asking for feedback from your peers and your managers and your skip level. That is absolutely critical for managing that perception. Hey everyone. If this discussion brings up additional questions to the forefront of your mind, I encourage you to head over to impactfulengineer.com and sign up for our newsletter with your question. We may answer your inquiry directly on the podcast or even ask our guests to get their insight. If you're just enjoying the episode and want to make sure you never miss additional impactful content, you can still sign up for the newsletter without a question. And as always, you can reach out and follow us on LinkedIn under The Impactful Engineer.
Mm.
Hey, my fellow impactful engineers. If there's one thing that you could do to help out this community, is to keep listening to the podcast, but also if you found value in it, to share it with one person, give us a 5-star review, or even leave a text review. It'll only take a few seconds of your time. Find that person that you think could enjoy some of this or learn from it, and pass on the good word. Now back to the show.
Yeah, and I can give a direct example, and I don't, you know, I know we try to be careful about bringing in real life examples that we're experiencing with our companies and stuff, but it doesn't matter what the timeline is on my example. It could have been in any of my 3 companies that I've worked for so far. And I feel like I should share an example because it's really going to hit it home and make it concrete in someone's mind, I think. So I have been doing the skip level one-on-ones for a while. Sometimes they're great and have meaning. Sometimes we're just checking in. Sometimes it's kind of a lull. You know, some of them are good. Some of them are, not worthless, but kind of like, hey, what did we even talk about? Right. And that's okay. Sometimes that's going to happen. You hit people on different days that we're just busy. We haven't really thought much about what our last conversation was. But I got wind of some perception that was taking place, and I'm like, all right, cool. So, it's my chance to get in there and see what the perception is and then try to adjust. So I asked for the candid feedback, and it was, the person was hesitant at first. I'm like, no, no, no. This is the gold, baby. This is where we're going to get some good stuff. Like, let's do this. Right. So I got my feedback, and in my mind, of course, the defensiveness, the hormones are hitting, that rush of whatever the hell those hormones are gets in you. And especially for me, I'm getting to the point where I'm like, and boiling inside kind of, but I'm very professional. And I'm like, hey, thanks for the feedback. I'm going to take that and I'm going to work on this for sure. Very good conversation. And then we walked away. That was the only thing I said. And so then my work was then to carefully document that perception and then figure out how I change it. That's the only thing I need to do, right? Whether or not I agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. But here's the feedback. This is the feedback for me in a nutshell. Okay. Most of my behavior and the things that I say and communicate are very Jake central and very me, 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 and not team, team, team. That was the feedback. And there were some examples in there. Now, to me, because of my values and what I feel inside, I'm like, no, I want the team to win. Like, this is not what I'm doing, right? And I said, oh, wow. So if he's perceiving it that way, there's more people than just this person that is perceiving it that way, because they are talking with other managers. They're always talking up. They're always with the VP of directing or VP of engineering. They're all, like, a good company. The people at this level are talking all the time about strategy, tactics, who's doing well, who's doing what is the perception. So that means that it's not just him, it's a bunch of people. So I had to take that feedback in stride, and then I would reflect on it. I talked to Steve about it. I said, hey, here's what just happened. What do I do about this? Gave me a lot of good pointers. One was seeking that clarity if I needed it. Where's the perception coming from? And here's what I heard. Here's how I took it. Is this how you intended to deliver it? Is this really what you meant? So getting good clarity. Now, I already understood the clarity. I didn't ever follow up directly on that feedback. I've just put things into place and am taking action on how to change that perception. So now at my next one-on-one with this person, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to say, hey, I've been doing these things to try and improve the message that I'm delivering on my day-to-day. Have you seen any improvement? Has the perception changed at all? Is there another move that we should make to try and make this better? And it's going to be completely objective. No emotion tied to it. I just want to get to a better place of perception. That's my only goal.
Yeah, you got to find those markers, right? Of okay, where exactly are the perceptions coming from, and how can I adjust those? How can I turn the knobs, to influence the perception in the direction that it needs to be, rather than the way it's been going.
Yep. And that's exactly right. And through my reflection and talking with you, talking with members of the community that I'm engaged with around engineering improvement and leadership strategy, one of the biggest things we honed in on was that my excitement level for improvement can be way higher than everyone else's, especially in the moment. And so when I get super excited about something, I raise my voice, I might start cursing, which I'm working on. I get super excited, right? And I will say things like should, need, we should be, we need to be, I would like, I think that, stuff like that. Like, so the messaging wasn't correct. So I've taken action and, strategies to improve that. So when I start to get excited, I recognize it and I reframe in my head in real time. I talk to myself and I go, okay, let's reframe that. And it comes out better now. So I'm saying things like, man, within a team structure, all of us are affected by this. One person's activity in this area could have a ripple effect for the whole team. And it might even affect morale for all of us. It might even bring down our productivity as a team. So what I recommend that we each can start doing to make us better as a whole is to start doing X, Y, and Z. That's just my recommendation. You don't have to act on it. It's just something that I'm seeing and that I think could build us, stronger as a team. And so what I think is that I'm getting better feedback, and I think people are feeling better about that, rather than me come flying in with my usual Jake energy and just like, but I'm going to check in. So I've made a change. I received the feedback. I've made a change. I've been acting on the change purposely, and now I'm going to see kind of what the temperature is now. It's been a couple months.
Okay. And you haven't done that yet?
So, and I haven't had that meeting yet, and that's,
Gotcha, yeah.
That's soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. I'll let you all know. Did it work or did it not work? But that's it. You just iterate. You have to change something. Can't keep doing the same things that got you in that position, because nothing's going to change, or it could get worse, right? So,
yeah, absolutely. A story from quite some time ago that's pre me working, so it's safe to share. As you
which
know,
we totally just honed in on the time frame of my
yeah.
thing,
Oh,
but
I
that's
know,
okay.
I know.
I don't care. It's still a good.
Yeah,
It's a good point to make.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, as you know, when I was younger, I was very outgoing, right? Very overly confident and sure of my thinking. Um, in school, I was always one of the quote unquote smart kids, but I had an overt confidence about it, arrogance, really. And then, well, I guess before I went to university, I worked retail for a while, and I was in sales, and I was very good at it. I was in commission sales and made a lot of money as an 18-year-old kid, because I was good at it. And so, but then I went into the university, and all of a sudden I was surrounded by a ton of people who were a lot smarter than me, and I was just like, oh shit, like,
Yeah.
I am not the smartest person anymore. Um, and I would, my natural tendency was to, be the guy's like, oh, I know the answer, raise my hand, in class, and then just blurt out my opinion on something before even thinking it through. And I got in trouble. I can't even count how many times as a kid. But then in the university, I realized it's like, hey, I don't know the answer all the time, and and when I was younger, I would say stuff, and people would just take it as like, oh yeah, well, I mean, he's smart, so he knows what he's talking about. Well, in university, people are like smarter than me, and so they're like, no, you're wrong, and they would call me out on it. And I'm like, oh shit, And so, um, it was. It's kind of like a perception thing, but it also kind of changed my personality in the long run. And so now I'm like the opposite. And so I've been trying to be more outward and be more assertive in communication with my peers, because I had to retract so much during school, and now I have to go the other way. And right now, there's a lot of perceptions like, oh, he's quiet, he's not very. I've actually had people think I wasn't very driven. I was like, hell, I'm not.
Right.
But it's just kind of like a weird psychological thing that I'm not an expert at. But it kind of goes back to the perception thing where, like, how you behave, people will think you're one way. Like they could think you're either really intelligent, not intelligent, and you could be either of those. And same thing with with your assertion, your confidence, and all those kind of things. And so it's kind of an oddball story to put in a reference, but it's a good way to kind of explain how just the way you behave can drive a perception.
Yeah. That's super interesting that you've gone completely the other way, right? And now you're in a leadership position.
Yeah.
And so you'd have to, and while you can drive decisions, move quickly, your decision accuracy is probably pretty high. Your ability to drive and just get through things is probably pretty good. I know it is,
Mm-hmm.
but your perception,
Yep.
right?
Oh yeah.
And that other people are picking up on. They can't pick up on the internal uh, dialogue and the decisions you're making within yourself. That it needs to be shown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And so I had the same kind of energy you have now when I was going into school, right? Just
Yeah.
charging through things, going, yeah,
And
I know the answer.
And I didn't at all.
Yeah.
I'm just realizing right now that we're in this boomerang zone.
Yeah.
We're in this like really stretched out, swinging kind of. We need to.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm on a journey to kind of
Rein it back
meet in the
in.
middle, rein it back in, and improve my perception. And you're kind of on a journey to bring it back the other way.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
I know.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, you remember when I was a kid.
Yes. And you remember when I was a kid. Very quiet, non-assertive. I would get pissed off about stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You
But
had a
I
rage
wasn't very
issue.
I wasn't very assertive about really anything. I'm just like, I was kind of the one that sat back and just kind of listened to everyone and go,
Mhm.
okay, all right, this is where I need to be and what I need to do. Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, the last few years, I believe that I've made great strides in that. And really just being in a management position has done that. And then the extra work that I've put in to learn the skills to be a better manager.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but when I made that initial transition, not in this job, but a couple jobs ago, into a leadership role, I struggled a lot. Um, being more assertive and commanding decisions in a team environment. Um, Now, with that said, I still rely on the team to come up with the good ideas. I just help them package those ideas and pick a direction to go. Right. So,
Yeah.
which I believe is the best way to do it, because one person can't always come up with the best idea.
Right.
So
Right. Nice.
yeah.
Okay. So it's about, packaging it up and your delivery. So everybody can package up what everybody has to say. There's kind of the same conversations, the kind of the same stressors, and important things you got to do and pivots you got to make. And, with any company that's going for client satisfaction and driving results and making good money, um, it's kind of all going to be the same, right? It's about how you package it all up, how you receive it, package it all up, and deliver it.
Yeah.
So you want
So,
that perception to be on point.
yeah. So understand your organization and what is needed for the perception to be the highest achieving individuals in that organization, and just work towards managing that perception.
Very good. Aren't you glad we started just recording our normal conversations and then call it a podcast?
Pretty much. I
I,
kind
I,
of deviate a little bit, but
it's all good, man. We came to this realization like in the show. It's kind of cool because I hadn't made that connection yet. That we
yeah.
were kind of on the opposite ends coming together, right?
Yep.
That's cool. All right, guys, go forth, conquer, figure out, who's perceiving you in what way, and if it's good or bad, or if you, well, I guess not good or bad, but if you need to change it to be able to put yourself in the best position to win.
Yeah. And let us know what you think.
Peace.
Hey guys, I hope you had a great time listening. Maybe you learned something new, maybe you got inspired, or at least took one thing away that you'd be able to use. Maybe you just had a good laugh. Impactful Engineering's hope and mission is that through this podcast, we can play a small part in expanding the reach and awareness of engineering and all of its many areas of application. The multiple engineering career paths available can be hugely rewarding as part of a fulfilled life, creating opportunity to impact nearly everyone in the modern world. An engineer's work helps to foster creation of new technologies, create safe and comfortable environments in which people can work, and lends to the sustainable future of everyone on the planet. The world needs more impactful engineers. Our vision is to provide engineers with the perspective and the tools to allow themselves the opportunity to become the most impactful engineers they can be. Included in our vision is to grow the impactful engineering community to a point where we can provide full ride scholarships to students in every single U.S. state every single year. This is an enormous goal, and with your help, we can get there. To start, we will continue to execute this mission in the way that we know how, having conversations, telling stories, and talking about what we find interesting and are passionate about. If the episode made you think, made you object, made you think you could possibly be doing something more with your day, or brought about an idea that you could spend more time on developing further, please share the show or recommend it to your friends. Even if you didn't personally think it was a huge help, there may be someone that you know that could benefit from it, and that's all we can ask for. Until next time on the Impactful Engineer Podcast.